I mean, the big banks have been an absolute monopoly over our financial system for years. You and I have joked about it 1,000 times. Why can't you send a wire transfer past 5 o'clock on a Friday afternoon? You know why? Because the big banks would love to take hundreds of billions of dollars and have it sit there and clip interest off of it over the course of a long weekend, as opposed to letting you just efficiently move that money using modern day technology, and have it in a separate wallet 2 seconds later. They want to be able to use their money. They want to be able to arbitrage their money. And so, the big banks are doing everything they can to stop some of the crypto legislation for obvious reasons. Why?
Eric Trump just said the quiet part out loud. They are using every level possible to delay or block pro-crypto legislation. Why? Because when crypto wins, financial control shifts to the people. And that is exactly what they fear most. This is not speculation anymore. This is a member of the Trump family telling you directly what is happening behind closed doors in Washington right now. And if you think Eric Trump is alone in this fight, you need to see what just dropped from the inner circle. Patrick Witt, Donald Trump's top digital assets advisor, just publicly endorsed an urgent call from Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. The message is crystal clear. Pass the Clarity Act now and get it to Trump's desk. The House already passed it with massive bipartisan support. We are talking SEC oversight for securities, CFTC for commodities, DeFi protections built in, and anti-CBDC walls to prevent government surveillance coins from taking over. This keeps American innovation on U.S. rails and denominated in U.S. dollars. The window is closing, and they are calling this the crown jewel of U.S. crypto policy. But here is where it gets really interesting for XRP holders specifically. Let me show you exactly what Patrick Witt said in his own words. Look at this carefully. Patrick Witt, quote, tweeted Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent directly. The U.S. did not become the world's financial center by hesitating in moments of technological change. It led by setting standards that others followed. By passing comprehensive digital asset market structure legislation, Congress will ensure that the next generation of financial innovation is built on American rails, backed by American institutions, and denominated in American dollars. And Bessent's original message? Congress has spent the better part of half a decade trying to pass a framework to onshore the future of finance. It is time for the banking GOP to hold a markup. This is the Treasury Secretary of the United States demanding action, the same Treasury that Ripple has been positioning itself with for years. This is not coincidence. This is convergence. Now, let me connect another crucial piece of this puzzle that most channels are completely ignoring. Representative French Hill just explained the push for regulatory parity in stablecoin legislation. Bank and non-bank issuers would all have the same compliance burdens, same capital requirements, same process. Why does this matter for XRP? Because Ripple's RLUSD stablecoin is positioned to compete directly with bank-issued stablecoins on a level playing field. No more advantages for the big banks. No more regulatory moats protecting legacy finance. This is the framework Ripple has been waiting for since they launched RLUSD. The same compliance standards mean Ripple can compete head-to-head with JP Morgan, with Goldman Sachs, with any institution that wants to issue stablecoins. And Ripple already has the infrastructure, the partnerships, and the liquidity that banks are still trying to build. Watch what Representative French Hill said about this.
Based on the public positions of some people in the debate, it's a challenging debate based on those public positions. I go back to sort of basic tenets. I'm a very practical problem-solving type personality. We said no yield, but we also said that bank and non-bank issuers would all have the same compliance burdens, same capital requirements, same process. And the implication in FIT 21 and in Clarity was same business, same rules. So to me, that implies sales practices too. So if you're going to have sales practices around the use of a dollar-backed stablecoin, that applies to everybody, whether it's bank issued or non-bank issued, whether it's accepted on an exchange or not. And so I thought when the Treasury did their advance publication of the Federal Register about their rulemaking, they asked all those very basic questions. How should we think about this? And it implied sales practice concerns. So I'm not really surprised it's come back up, and I'm not really surprised of the character of the debate. But again, going back to my founding roots in this topic, I think this is something that a solution can be found that is fair-minded to bank and non-bank issuers and people either in a decentralized use of a stable coin or a stable coin attached to an exchange. It is, Charlie Munger would say, it is not in the too hard pile. This is a solvable situation.
Now, here is where the institutional adoption story gets absolutely massive. Ripple Treasury is now working directly with Société Générale. If you do not know, Société Générale is one of the largest banks in Europe. We are talking about a bank with over 1 COD, $7 trillion in assets. And they are not just partnering casually. They are specifically working on solving what the industry calls the last mile problem, getting cross-border payments instantly into the hands of the final beneficiary. The tweet mentions initiatives like One Leg Out instant credit transfer in Europe and Swift's global digital initiatives. Société Générale participates actively in these programs. They are expanding domestic instant payment capabilities across borders. By injecting cross-border flows directly into instant payment rails, they can finally solve the problem that has plagued international finance for decades. And who has the technology to make this happen? Let me show you what Société Générale published. This is directly from Société Générale's documentation. They call it the 24/7/365 ripple effect. Read that again. The ripple effect. This is not an accident. They are describing the global move toward 24/7/365 payment operations. The concept of standard business hours in banking is rapidly becoming obsolete. For banks, regulators, and consumers, this always-on environment is essential. Consumers expect weekend transactions to clear instantly. They highlight that liquidity is the oil in the payment system. Banks must hold sufficient funds in various currencies around the clock. And here's the key phrase they highlighted in their own document. We are entering an era where payments never sleep and transparency must be guaranteed. Consumers are setting the pace, demanding speed and predictability. The technology is maturing and global regulations are aligning. Global systems and infrastructure will be prepared to support seamless, transparent global payments that the modern economy demands. The always-on future awaits. This is a Tier 1 European bank describing Ripple's technology as the future of finance. And while the institutions are building, smart money is already positioning. Breaking news just hit. A hyper-liquid whale just opened a 20x leveraged long on XRP. Entry price? $1.336. Position size? $1 million. This is not some retail trader throwing a few $100 at a meme coin. This is a sophisticated player on one of the most advanced decentralized trading platforms putting serious capital at 20 times leverage on XRP at what they clearly believe are key support levels. The tweet says it perfectly. Smart money does not play small. This is a high conviction bet. When you see whales taking these kinds of positions while legislation is moving through Congress and Tier 1 banks are publishing documents about Ripple technology, you have to ask yourself, what do they know that the average retail investor is missing? Let me show you the actual position. Look at this dashboard from Hyperliquid. This whale has 5 positions open totaling over $5.5 million. The total long exposure is $5.4 million at 98% of their portfolio, only $95,000 in shorts. This is overwhelmingly bullish positioning. Look at the XRP position specifically. 20x leverage, $1,005,000 in position value. That is 756,992 XRP tokens. Entry at $1.336, current price $1.3275. Yes, they are slightly underwater right now at negative $5,500, but that is only 10% drawdown on a leveraged position. They have no liquidation price showing, which means they have sufficient margin to weather volatility. But look at their other positions. Nearly $4 million long on Bitcoin at 40x leverage. 382,000 on Doge. Even their ETH position at 25x. This whale is betting everything on crypto going up, and XRP is their second largest position. Smart money is accumulating right now while retail is distracted. Let me bring this all together for you because what we just covered is not random news. This is a coordinated convergence of events that XRP holders need to understand. Eric Trump is publicly calling out the forces trying to delay crypto legislation. Trump's top digital assets advisor is demanding the Clarity Act reach the president's desk. The Treasury Secretary is pushing Congress to act now. Representative French Hill is explaining how regulatory parity will level the playing field for Ripple. Societe Generale, a $1.7 trillion European bank, is publishing documents about the ripple effect in 24/7 payments. And smart money whales are opening million-dollar leveraged longs on XRP at these exact price levels. This is not coincidence. This is the setup that XRP holders have been waiting for since 2017. The regulatory clarity is coming. The institutional adoption is here. The only question is whether you will be positioned when everything clicks into place. We are witnessing the infrastructure for generational wealth being built in real time. If this video opened your eyes to something you have not seen elsewhere, smash that like button and subscribe so you do not miss what comes next. The always-on future is not coming. It is already here. And XRP is at the center of it all.